So I am really excited about my special guest, Lou Bortone, because Lou and I go way back. I feel like we're like brothers and sisters, like we're like this for a long time, Lou. So
Yeah,
welcome,
thank you.
welcome.
Good to see you.
You too, you too. And I know this is always fun to have this conversation with you just about anything video. So I'm going to dive in and just ask some questions, but you know I'm
Right.
probably going to ask some follow-up questions because you always have something fun to share. So, so I got the pre-prepared questions just to make sure we
Uh-huh.
get some of the content, but I really just want to know more about you and your background and who you are as a video strategist and someone who does video consistently. So first, let me start with the official stuff, and I'm going to share a little bit from your bio. So, Lou Bartone has been a pioneer and a thought leader in the video space since the launch of YouTube back in 2005. So, this is a long time. You're not new to the game. He's helped thousands of entrepreneurs and companies create and leverage online video to build their brands and dramatically grow their revenue. Prior to his industry leading work in online video marketing, Lou spent over 20 years as a marketing executive in the television and entertainment industries, including stints as a national promotion manager for E Entertainment Television. So we're talking like big leagues and Senior Vice President of Marketing for Fox Family Worldwide in Los Angeles. So, Lou is a popular speaker, author, and ghostwriter of 6 business books. He's also the author of Video Marketing Rules: How to Win in a World Gone Video. You can learn more about Lou at loubortone.com, but we're going to learn a little bit more about Lou right now. So, Lou, what's not in the bio? What do you want people to know that's not there?
Oh, thank you, Tanya, and thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it. It's so funny because I hadn't heard that in a while. I'm like, wow, that sounds like I've done a lot of stuff, which
You
is just
have
means
done a lot of
I'm
stuff,
old and
Lou.
I've been around for a while. I guess what's not on there is I kind of grew up in the TV business because my dad worked at a TV station. So there's really never anything else I wanted to do but to go into TV. But by the time
Wow.
I got there, TV was changing drastically, and really things have moved since to more online where it's like, okay, well, it's not TV, it's YouTube, it's TV, it's a screen, it's whatever. There's no
Yeah.
distinction. So that's my background. And the other part, I guess, which is kind of ironic, and I know you'll probably ask me about this, but I don't like being on camera. I still don't like being on camera after all this time.
What? What'd you say?
I'm
This is
camera
this is
shy, camera
blasphemy.
oh,
Video blasphemy, Lou. Video
I know, I
blasphemy.
know.
So
So
tell me about that. You know I'm going to ask the follow-up. So
uh,
so what do you mean when you say you don't like being on camera? What makes you feel that way?
I don't know. I think, well, part of it's that I'm an introvert, like
Yeah.
you, but that you don't let that hold you back. So, um, I think also part of it's that I had always been behind the scenes in when I was in TV and really, doing marketing stuff and not on camera stuff. So all of a sudden, when YouTube came around, I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of scary being on camera. And at
Yeah.
first, I started out doing, I mean, how this whole crazy YouTube online thing got started is I was doing a funny little sketch comedy show for a local cable access channel. So we were just doing this really low budget, low quality stuff. It's like, okay, well, if I can pretend to be somebody else, I'm fine. But the minute I have to be myself, that's nerve wracking.
So when did you first decide then, okay, in spite of the fact that I don't like this, I'm going to try using video anyway for yourself, for your own business? Because I
Yeah.
know, like you said, and like we read in the bio, you have this extensive background in media.
Mhm.
But what made you say, you know what, I'm going to move forward anyway, I'm going to put my face on camera? What was that first moment like?
Ooh, a little, like I said, a little nerve wracking, but I think I
Yeah.
realized that, as especially doing this little cable show, it's like, oh, there's, I don't know, 100 people watching on local access cable, but there's 700 people on YouTube. So you're
Yeah.
no longer limited by geography. And suddenly we've got this unbelievable tool that gives us access to the world that's free that anybody can do. Just sit down in front of a camera and go. So I
Yeah.
just realized that, the power of that reach is just too good a thing to waste.
That's super smart. So you recognize an opportunity for reach, and in spite of, just like me, in spite of the introverted nature that we have to somehow overcome the act of hiding ourselves, especially
Hmm.
when we know we have to market ourselves. Because if you have an open mouth, you have an open business,
Yeah,
right?
good point. Yeah.
So, as far as the equipment, tell me what it was like when YouTube first started. What was your setup at that time? Because I'm sure it wasn't nearly as smooth as it is today.
No, no. I mean, it was really just being on a Mac and having the really slow upload and download times. And you remember the AOL back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So it just took a lot longer and it took a lot of bandwidth. And I have like a storage unit full of external hard drives that like you had to put everything on external. And it's just like anything, the technology's come so far that's like, this little iPhone here is more powerful than most cable networks, really. I mean,
yeah.
you've got this unbelievable resource at your disposal, so use it.
And what if you had to think of something that you felt like was like the main piece of gear that you had to have back then?
Hmm.
What was that one thing you couldn't live without to
Where
do
is my? Do
video?
you remember the flip camera?
Yes.
I think I still have it somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Oh my God. You do still have it.
Now I have to get this back to the Smithsonian for their early technology exhibit, but
I know,
that's
right?
there was so much stuff happening and so much coming out, and then it eventually turned out that like, oh well, we can just do all this on our smartphones.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you switched from smartphone, or not even smartphone, because it wasn't smart back then.
It wasn't as smart. No.
No, the flip phones, because I remember all the old gadgets. I used to have
Mhm.
something that had like little teeny tiny buttons. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember what it looked like, a little miniature computer.
yeah, yeah.
All of those different types of things. But when you first switch from that format,
Hmm.
and I don't know, do you use phones right now primarily, or what do you use now for
Yeah.
your gear?
I use my iPhone for my camera if I'm not
Okay.
sitting in front of my webcam here on my iMac. So that's
Okay.
pretty much it. And I used to, it's so funny because I would get like, oh, look at this awesome DSL, blah, 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 blah. And it sits in the box for 6 months because it turns out that you don't need all that fancy stuff. You just need a webcam or a phone.
I love it. And I'm always saying that, but people are like, "But what do you use?" Well, I use something different,
But yeah.
but the power of the smartphone is that it is so portable, right?
Mhm.
And you can carry it around. What are some of the types of videos that you do using your phone, Lou?
Oftentimes, if I'm just out and about, like, your camera is in your pocket. So anywhere you go, you have the opportunity to do video. So it might be, oh, let's take the dog for a walk on the beach. And
Yeah.
so some of it's just in the moment, like, well, here's a typical day. Other times I might do goofy stuff if I see something funny, because you know me, I'm always being a goofball and doing effects on the camera and making myself look old or young. So a lot of it is just my short attention span. Like, okay, what should I do now? But part of it's that you have to plan the strategy part, and then
Mhm.
just the fun part. So I often talk about: are you doing a quick video or a keeper video? A quick video you can just throw it up. Maybe it's an Instagram live; it's only up there for 24 hours, or Facebook Live, which is sort of in the stream and then it's gone. Or is it a keeper video? Like, oh, okay, well, I need a new video for my homepage. I really have to put some thought into this.
Yeah.
And that's more of a like, okay, well, that's a branding video, so I can't really fool around and just do anything. I've got to have some thought into that one.
With your quick videos right now, Lou, are you, because I know that that's like the hot thing. Everybody's
Mhm.
doing these snack size videos. So they're
Right.
doing reels, and they're doing Snapchat, and they're doing,
Mhm.
so all of those stories. Do
Yeah.
you do those type of videos? And if you do, like, what's the mix? What's the
Mhm.
percentage of videos that you do that are quick versus keeper videos?
Right. Well, if I'm doing a quick, it's probably about maybe 25% quick videos. I don't do nearly as much like Facebook Live and stuff like you do, because I just have such a short attention span. I never know if I'm going to want to do it or not. And I don't do, I mean, I do the micro videos just sort of for fun, but I don't do a lot of stories or Instagram because I like to repurpose everything. I don't want it to go away in 24 hours. I mean, I know I could download it and save it, but I won't remember to do that. So I'd rather have a video that I go back and resurrect and repurpose and repeat. Because again, if somebody didn't see it the first time, then it's new to them. So.
Yep, that's a really excellent point. What I'm getting at, and which I love that we're having this really frank conversation about how you're doing it, is that you mentioned I do things differently. I know there's other people that I'm interviewing that have a whole different
Hmm.
approach to using it, but it still all works.
Right.
So I have yet to get myself into loving Snapchat and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know if I ever will.
Right.
But finding that path that works for you, I feel like there's a path for everybody in video. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, I call it your video sweet spot. There's going to be certain kinds of videos that are easier for you and quicker and just feel more natural. And there's
Mhm.
going to be other things, like I say, like I just can't get into TikTok, and that's okay because my audience is probably not on TikTok. I mean, it's obviously TikTok. What did I just say? TikTok. So it's it's a younger skewing platform, so I don't feel like I need to be there. And for me, my video sweet spot, honestly, is like I'll do webinars and off-camera videos all day long where I can share my slides and share content because I like to teach, and I
Yeah.
don't especially like to be on camera. Other folks, they're in their element in Facebook Live or live video, or they're in their element doing quick tips. So you really just have to find what works for you and hope that that aligns with your audience.
So I know we're talking and because we've been doing this for a long time, and you especially, like, you're the godfather of video. So you've been doing this for a long time, and you've been teaching and you've been sharing and you've got all these different techniques. But have you ever felt, besides the fact that there's times you don't want to be on
Mhm.
camera, are there any roadblocks that you've experienced that maybe you can talk a little bit about how you overcame that roadblock
Mhm.
to be able to continue to keep moving forward with video?
Right, right. Uh, Part of it is realizing that you can't wait for the technology and you can't wait for the right moment. So the typical roadblocks, like, oh, okay, I don't know why, but my webcam's not working right, or I can't get my audio to come on, or
Yeah.
or the landscape is doing leaf blowing the afternoon that I wanted to shoot 5 videos, which never fails. So a lot of it's just sort of, damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead. I'm just going to get this done. And so you have to have a certain persistence and commitment to doing it.
Mm.
And I know, like, I can't ask my students to put themselves out there and do video if I'm not doing it myself. So a lot of it for me is just try to, lead by example.
I love that. And I love, besides the fact that I love that you said that, I also love the fact that you mentioned the whole leaf blower thing, because there are going to be times, I know every time I get on camera, I'm like, okay, what's going to pop up next that I didn't
Hmm.
plan for? Like, there's, there are going to be times and moments where these things happen, but you just have to stay committed to the course, whatever course you've decided you wanted to take with
Right.
video, and just
And
keep
folks
going.
want, they want the content and they want the message. They want answers to their questions or issues and challenges. So
Yeah,
they're not necessarily saying, "Oh my God, Lou's glasses are all fogged up today," or whatever. So,
I know.
or for, like, I know it's harder for women. They feel like, "Oh, I've got to do this, I get this," and I always say, "Well, it's really not about the makeup; it's about the message." So that's what people are tuning in for. Um, the other part of it is you can just basically make your life part of your brand. So I know, like, especially when my dog Rocco, when my little pug was uh, younger, he would just always be barking in the background when I was trying to make videos. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put him in the video and say, "Here's
Yes.
Rocco. He's the one making all the noise." So he got onto my website, and now it got to the point where it's like when I do videos, like, well, where's Rocco? We don't want to see you. We want to see the dog.
And Rocco has a sister now.
Rocco now has a sister, Regina, so she'll sit here, luckily she's not doing it now, and just howl if I don't pay attention to her. Like, I've never seen a pug howl before. She's like, "Ooh." So I'm like, "All right, you want to be on camera too? So fine." You know?
So this brings up a question. You just mentioned this whole idea of merging life, which I just had this conversation yesterday with somebody
Mhm.
because they were still stuck on, I think it's old school thinking. They were
Mhm.
still stuck on, well, I want to keep everything separate. I don't want people in my personal business. I just want to keep it
right.
which I get why people say that, but I honestly feel like there is a difference now in the realm of marketing that we maybe used to it used to be different years ago where we
Mhm.
could have more of a separation. Do you feel like there is more of a need as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, to include some of your personal self in your marketing?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a personal decision, but I think it really helps, especially in the last year and a half in this era of the
Yeah.
pandemic when we don't have as much in-person contact, we don't have as much in-person networking. You got to just, it's like, here it is, folks, warts and all. So, and I think people appreciate that authenticity. And, if you're genuine and it's like what you see is what you get. So when
Mhm.
people meet me like, oh, well, you're so approachable, I'm like, why wouldn't I be? So
I
this is
know.
and I don't put on, unless I'm doing a goofy character or something, I don't really put on airs on camera. It's like, you get the whole thing. You get the barking pugs, you get, whatever is happening that day, you're gonna see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a time that you think where we should remove? I don't do a lot of editing of my
Mhm.
lives, to be honest. But do you think there's ever a time where you should make sure that everything is like on point and that there's no mistakes
Mhm.
when you're doing video? Is there ever a situation or scenario? I was trying to
Yeah, I
think of
think if you're doing
one.
it, well, what I have to call a keeper video, like, okay, this one's gonna have some shelf life. My YouTube channel trailer, for instance, or my
Yeah.
video on my homepage, I want it to be professional, and in many cases it's going to be people's first impression of you, so I do try to make sure that I put a lot of thought and editing and foresight into those videos that are going to be up and have a lot of shelf life. Again,
Yeah.
if it's a Facebook live or a story or something that's going to kind of disappear into the stream after a little while, I'm not as worried about it. And that's the thing I love about live video and live streaming is it is so in the moment. And I don't feel like I have to do any editing or any kind of post production because it just is what it is. It's like I call Facebook Live a come as you are party.
Yeah. It really is. For good, for better, or for worse in
Hmm.
some occasions. So what advice would you give someone, excuse me, who's brand new? If there were
Hmm.
advice you would give to someone who is just starting out and they're like, I want to put myself on camera. I'm feeling vulnerable about it, but I want to go for it. What would be your best tip for that person?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I think getting your toes wet and sort of going into the shallow end is more like, okay, well, I can do a Facebook Live to this group because this group is my friends, or so if you go
Yeah.
live into a group that you have in Facebook, that's kind of a way to sort of do an off Broadway version of your video. In fact, I used to tell people that you can do a Facebook Live to the only me and just you see it, and then if you like it, change the privacy settings. So
Hmm.
I tell folks to start out small with a group. They sort of get their, feet wet and they get used to the idea and like, okay, now do a Facebook Live to your whole profile. Okay, so it's out there. And,
Hmm.
the more you do that, the more comfortable you get with it. And you want to just eventually get to the point where you're so engaged in the back and forth or the message that you're giving that you sort of forget that the camera's even on.
That's awesome. And speaking of that, I have to dig into your new challenge that's coming up because you have a
Mhm.
challenge, and I think you called it 31 flavors
31
or
flavors of
something.
video. Hmm.
Okay. Talk a little bit about that because I know that I think that the intent is to help people to get used to or get in the habit of doing video.
Yeah.
Share what is the intent and tell me a little bit about that
Yeah,
challenge.
thanks. Uh, the idea is to help folks find, like I said, I call it your video sweet spot. What's the best video style or format for you? It might be live streaming, it might be PowerPoint to video, it might be something totally different. But you really want to be able to experiment a little bit till you find that, like, oh, this is easy. This doesn't even feel like video. This isn't a chore. Because if you like it and it's natural for you, you'll do more of it and you'll start to engage your audience. So the 31 flavors of video is basically just an opportunity where I'm going to go every day in August and share a different type of video every day for 31 days. So one day I might be talking about animation videos like what we do on Animoto. Another day I might be talking about whiteboard videos that you can do with a tool like Doodly. And obviously I'll be talking about live streaming and okay, well, here's another way to do video. Here's how about an interview format? How about a panel? How about so there's so many ways to come at this. I just want to let folks know that there's no one right way to do video. It's really very
Yeah.
flexible, and it just depends on finding that intersection between what you like and what your audience likes.
Love that as well. Everything you're saying, I think, is right on point, Lou. And it's because the purpose of this whole interview series I'm doing is to help people to feel more comfortable and more confident that they can do video in spite of whatever things that they may have told themselves or somebody else told them,
Hmm.
that they can do it. So I love that the challenge is going to give them ways, like options and differentiators for, hey, if I don't want to be on camera, here's some other ways I can still leverage video. Super
Exactly.
smart.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Super
more than
smart.
one way to skin a cat, obviously, and there's a lot of ways to do video. But I love live streaming because I kind of think it's sort of low hanging fruit because it's
Yeah,
relatively easy to do. You don't necessarily have to have all the bells and whistles that we like, but I don't know if you agree with this, but I think going live to Facebook is a lot less pressure than doing a video for YouTube or LinkedIn. I mean, I just feel
I
like
do.
there's more latitude to sort of be yourself, and there's not as much pressure like, oh my God, this is live. What happened?
Mhm.
People, things happen in live videos, and that's fine.
Yeah, and I can honestly say I've been kind of a scary cat myself because I agree wholeheartedly with you that live stream is easier. And that's kind of where I dug my heels in and said, I'm just going to do live.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there is power in having some diversity of videos. So I'm trying to do better, Lou. I'm trying to, I'm
No,
trying to
you
say,
gotta find your sweet spot, and then that's your thing. So I mean, that's great because now there are folks who just teach Camtasia videos, right? Which is great. That's good for some folks. There are folks who only do live. I like to just mix it up because honestly, just because I have a relatively short attention span, so I like to do a lot of different kinds of videos, and I
yeah.
can share those with my students.
And you also have a number of different, I should have drank a little bit of water here, but you also have a lot of different personalities. Because I've seen them all on the face. Is it Retune, Reface,
Yeah, reface.
Face?
Yeah.
Okay.
All these goofy apps where it's like, oh, I can put myself into a Brad Pitt movie, or I can be a gladiator, or it's just goofy stuff that again, my short attention span. If I'm in line at the grocery store, chances are I'm doing some goofy thing on my phone, like a Reface app or something to just keep it interesting.
How do you get up the courage to just whip your phone out wherever you are and do a quick
Oh my gosh,
video?
it's almost unconscious at this point. And again, I'm not necessarily doing, like a video in line. Uh,
Hmm.
But I think now, because it may be a function of having kids, I mean, they live on their phones, as you know. So I've just kind of gotten into the habit of saying, like, if I'm on a drive with the kids, I get mad because, like, oh, look, we're at the beach. Look at that view. Look at this. Look at that. There's a lighthouse there because I live on the coast. They're like, well, wait a second.
Uh-huh.
I gotta check in on this. And my daughter's funny too because she's like, I say, I kid her and like, you just want to be a Kardashian, but she has to approve all the pictures that she puts on Instagram. Like, she won't let me take a picture of her unless it's pre-approved by her.
Yeah.
So
To
you
make
can't
sure you
post
got the
that.
right angle and the
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So I kind of just take a cue from them and say, like, well, they're always putting themselves out there on the phone. So that's just the way it is now. There is no more
I,
personal life.
I love it though. I mean, if I could get myself to really just kind of step into the shoes of my kids and do more of that, that probably would be good to do a stretch.
Hmm.
So don't be surprised if you see me checking
Cool.
out the 31 flavors, and I'll
Please,
make sure to
yeah,
share this with my audience as well.
thank
When
you.
does that start, by the way, so I can make
Um,
sure?
that's August 1st, so it might
Okay.
already be, in progress by the time this airs, but that's fine. It's very,
Okay.
I try to do things where it's like, look, I don't want to make video hard. I want it to be fun, and I
Yeah.
don't want it to be a chore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because if I can get more people comfortable with the idea of doing whatever kind of video they want, that's going to help them build their audience and engage their audience because, as you know, video builds know, like, and trust better than
Yeah.
anything. So let's help our students reach more people and build their businesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one way that we want to help them is by sharing your link. So I'm going to share your link
Thank
to
you.
what is this? Tell us about what this link will send people to.
This is, I sort of curated a collection of 50 Zoom backgrounds. We're all on Zoom all the time now, especially with,
Cool.
pandemic and things like that. So, and a lot of folks like to use green screen, and they say, "What do you?" This particular background is a vinyl taped to the wall background. This is not green.
Oh,
So, $15 on Walmart, and I'm in this lovely garden somewhere. So, but if you're using green screen like you can on Zoom, a lot of folks say, "Well, I want a different background." So I just curated a bunch of goofy backgrounds, everything from the Oval Office to the set from Friends to Star Wars stuff. Like, well, why shouldn't I do my Zoom from the Death Star? So,
I
uh,
love
so
it.
it's just some fun Zoom backgrounds that you can use for your Zooms.
Very cool. We may have to get this broadcast out sooner because I've had several people asking me about Zoom backgrounds. So I want to make sure that they take advantage of that and can get in on your August 31 flavors.
Yeah, thanks.
So we'll work on that. We'll figure out a compromise on the date because I want to
No
get this
worries.
out there.
It's really flexible. Again, like when I do stuff, it's like people like, "Oh my god, is this going to be I put everything
Yeah.
so that it's available 24/7. It's like, okay, if you miss a day, no biggie, just go back and watch the recording. And so I don't want it
Which
to be
just
like
speaks
a
to
chore.
it speaks to your personality, Lou, because you're really laid back, and I try to be laid back as well. But I do love that about you, and I see your whole like person. I see you coming through the way that you approach video and the way that you teach video and your flexibility. And
Hmm.
just know that I am a big fan. I've always been a huge
Oh,
fan.
thanks. Well, the
So,
feeling is mutual. So you are doing an amazing job. I noticed today, like I never see you and Wonder Woman at the same place. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe there's something going on there, but just a
hey.
coincidence.
It could be a coincidence or maybe not. I don't know. Well, Lou, it has been so much fun just spending a little time with you and just tapping into your wisdom and your thoughts around using video and overcoming roadblocks. And I can't wait to share this with people so that they really get to know who you are and they can follow you. What's the best place? Should it be loubortone.com
Yeah, that's a
where
good.
people can find you?
Yeah, yeah, thank you, Bortone.com. I
Okay.
still answer all my own email at vip@lubortone.com. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, and this video stuff is great because, again, we met years and years ago, but we've been able to stay connected and stay in touch over video, which is like the whole reason for doing it. So thank you for being consistent and setting a great example as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and thank you as well. I mean, I think we met at a conference.
Hmm.
I remember approaching you and we just kind of got along because we were the quiet people.
Yeah, the quiet ones in the back of the room. Please don't call on me. So
Right. Right, exactly. Well, Lou, thanks again. I hope everyone will take the time to just go to loubortone.com, get connected, see what he's got coming up because he always has something creative going on, right? And again, if you are feeling a little like twisted about, oh, I don't really want to do live stream, but I want other ideas, Lou is an excellent person for you to follow, a great model of all the different types of video that you can actually tap into to market your brand and to promote your business. So, Lou, it has been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much
thank
again. And I
you.
look forward to staying connected in the future on more other video projects.
Thanks, Tanya. Appreciate it.
All right. Okay.